Good evening, Free Enterprise 2, and welcome to. One second, please excuse me. There we go. And welcome to week 5 of the Elixir League. It's week 5 of Elixir League, but more importantly, week 1 of Moonveil Mixer, a new flex that they'll be running for the next 4 weeks. Before we get into the details of that, let's welcome the crew that's going to bring this race to you. First off, myself, Twisted Flax, joined behind the scenes with Hush Pyramid on restreams, Yudo and Step Lively on tracking, and in the commentary booth with me tonight is Deathlike. How are you doing?
Doing okay. I'm just watching this a gang start. This is gonna be a lot of fun because hey, this flag set reminds me of a lot of the older like older flag sets that we've run before, but it's a mix of both. So that's why it's we're in the different flag set. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name.
Yes, Moonveil Mixer. If you have been in the community for any period of time and played in some of our previous events, you might recognize bits and pieces that we've taken from the past, brought into this flag set, mixed them all together. Should be a very nice challenge for our 4 runners tonight. We are still running 1v1 races in team format. Tonight we've got 4 races for you, but they're running 2 versus top runners are running against each other, and the bottom runners running against each other. It's Klopfer versus Professor Renderer, and on the bottom we have Neon Gray and Scott.
Yeah, so the same seed is run for all 4, but the direct competitors are playing against each other. So that's as far as the team's concerned, it's still a 1v1, and we'll see some interesting. Might see some interesting divergence depending on how the seed has been rolled. It's just because not every runner will be doing the same thing. It's just, even though the seed is exactly the same, it's kind of like a community race, except not. So.
Yes, very much so. In this flag step, we've got 4 static objectives to complete. You see that on the left side here. You have to collect magnets because we all want to have some music. You have to forge the sword with Kokol. You also have to find the Fabulous Gauntlet, and you have to find Golbez. But there are going to be 3 randomly chosen objectives we have to deal with. Tonight they're going to be Burn Village Mist, Launch the Falcon, and Return the Pan. You don't have to complete all 7. 6 is good enough for you to get the crystal and go and fight Z at the end of the game.
I think our runners are hoping for a lot of the objectives to show up early, but since we're in a more normal flag set, so we have back on K main, K summon, and K moon. So everything we have. But hey, we have an edge second character, and oh boy, it's already spicy off the top.
Yes, that Launch the Falcon objective is in play now. You can do that anytime you feel comfortable with it. And since you're starting with an Edge, who's a pretty strong character to start the game with, I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of our runners does make an early play down there.
I think really what our runners are going to at least think of doing is getting Edge online quickly. So that'll be some early looting. Depends on where they're going to go. Maybe Castle Eblan splunking, but I prefer some waterway work. But looks like Klopfer is going for a popular site. Both top 2 teams are going for. Everyone is going to Damsian. I mean, I get it. Free loot. You have to get the hook. You have to get the hovercraft anyways to use the hook. So, yeah, some dense treasure chests here. So, not a bad start.
Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be there's anything terribly exciting in the boxes under Damsian today. But I would not be surprised to see, given the fact that they're all just rushing for the hovercraft, that they are all going to go down to Cave Eblan, maybe do some saves coming there to try to find what usually is some very good loot, because it is a gated location with a trapped chest in there, as well as getting a 3rd character.
Yeah, you definitely want the early character. I mean, it's free. I would still probably try to peek Hobbs just for kicks, but getting some more loot for Edge is probably the primary objective. You want Edge to be the focus. He will pretty much dominate the early stage. The question is, how much you want, and we're looking for a demist as Elements is showing up taking a shower. So we'll be will be going elsewhere.
Always a good thing to remember is that you want to go and check those boss spots you might not normally check. You've got, I guess, technically 3 bosses you're looking for. You got to find the Gauntlet, you've got to find Golbez, and you want to find that Demus because it is getting the key item.
Yeah, that's the reason to do it. I mean, with a kind of a pseudo boss hunt, you really do want to check your boss spots. It's not heavily emphasized now in this flag set because most of it is resembling a lollyho league. I mean, all our runners start with the dwarven set, which is nice, good for fighters. Also the but also rune rings for sale. That's where the most of the money. You sell half of it, and you've gotten a pretty good sizable chunk. And we're gonna spend it on hourglasses, clearly.
Yes, obviously getting down into Cave Eblan, you get access to that item shop that does have J items. It's as standard as the flag, so those gated shops are going to be very key to find some of those really powerful items like hourglasses. You'll definitely want to see if you can find sirens. That's always useful. Coffins are always good. Other things I'm sure you can find is down there as well. We also have a little bit of divergence. We have Renderer going through Castle Eblan first. Meanwhile, Scott was also looking through the Waterway, always a good place to find some good loot.
So just the difference in the flag sets are a little more apparent as open chest loot is capped at tier 5. So anything you find at Castle Eblan is probably not as good as it would normally be, but a tier 5 is usually where the power is. And speaking of shops, any gated shops are typically going to sell up to tier 5 equipment. So and that is always good to know, to keep in the back of your mind when you're shopping, if you're shopping. And then we find a Sid as our extra character.
That is a very interesting find here, because now Sid and Edge are arguably some of the more stronger early game characters. Sid, is a big pile of HP early, and can equip some of those good tier 5 items you're likely to find, those axes, for example. So you're gonna have a very strong party early on here. Yang's unfortunately not really going to be able to add to that until he gets more levels, but you should be able to at least clear out most of the overworld without breaking much of a sweat.
Some good looting being done here at Cave Eblan. I think that the spot that Neon Gray is hovering over is actually what I would consider the most lucrative spot, the most densest spot for looting. And if you bump into the trap chest, probably not as important. You'll consider set out of it. But once you've spotted the trap chest, then pretty much every treasure is open to you, because you don't have, as long as you remember where your trap chest is.
Scott is doing some looting in Mist Village here, and he went into Rydia's house, which is a spot you don't really see many people loot. He was rewarded very strongly by finding a nice heroin rope there.
Yeah, this is right now there isn't a character you use it on, but worst comes to worst, you can still sell it off. But I think in this scenario, any mage that you can find to turn into a berserker is always a good option. Utility mages are what they are, utility at that point, and that's fine. As long as you punch everything down, it doesn't matter.
That's absolutely right. And I do want to point out on this flag set, as well as the previous flag set where we were limited with the amount of characters we had, this time I think we're guaranteed all characters. There are going to be duplicates you can add into your party as well. So it's very much more likely you're going to find someone who could use that heroin rope.
I think the duplicate characters are being allowed as a relief from the previous flag set, as that usually is a hindrance. Like, sometimes you actually do want another character, even if it's a duplicate, just for another body. Here, it's favorable as a whole. So it's just sheer relief. I think for our runners doing this.
Speaking of overworld power, we got another very nice fighter here in Kane. We have our melee just all set, no question about it. Now we just need to find some white mage, and we have a really nice party going.
Yeah, I mean, when you have kind of all the berserkers that you ever want, and even have a room just to add a berserker at will, you you you're looking for a mage to kind of balance the party out, because there will be fights that you will need healing or at least some multi-targeted spells just to damage the entire boss party. So there will be times where you really need like more flexibility in your party composition. So something like Sid could be like superfluous in this kind of configuration, because you don't need another berserker, and you can't use him as an anchor, as Sea Hero's still on.
Right. Normally you would like to say, oh, hey, that Sid works really well as an anchor and a big old pile of HP. On the other hand, Yang works very well as an anchor and a big old pile of HP, and you're kind of stuck with Yang as he is your hero. So I would imagine as we find more characters, the Sid will probably fall by the wayside.
I mean, there's still utility fighting something like a Tella to replace a Sid. It makes Tella, even in this Flexit, is a lot more useful, even if your like hero was Edge, as example. But in this case, you just need some spellcaster to kind of carry the load when you need more utility in any functional form.
We've got Neon Gray taking on the Baron in here, finding a free fight in the first slot with King Green Eblan. This is not the place you want to see those. You want to see them at a more difficult spot, especially now that the no free bosses flags have been turned off from the first half of this tournament. So now that fight will eventually burn itself out, or you can just punch it through like Neon just did, because there's not much HP here, and it is a vanilla Yang in the second slot.
Is this even? I think I just noticed the character on the other side, which would be Edward. Probably not exactly what our runner's looking for, but hey, it's another body. Maybe if the spoon appears, a spoon is still enabled, so Edward can take advantage of things, and maybe we will fade fumble.
Well, we got a pan, and we have the way underground technically, so I would not be surprised if we do see fumble being held till later. And in Adline, we've got Darkness Crystals, so now we have Moon Axes as well.
Yeah, this also makes it spicy. Also worth traveling to the moon. Just so you know, runners cannot communicate with each other, so they don't neither know. Like if you know on the same team, they don't know what's going on the other. So there's no way of knowing what what the key items or bosses that are up spots. So so if you're surprised that they're kind of doing the same thing, maybe they're as a team are primed to do the same thing. So.
Also want to point out that the reward in Baron Inn was the pan, which is required for Objective 7 here tonight. So that's another one that's in the back pocket. We can't do it just yet, obviously, because we need to get underground first. But once we do there, we can whack Yang and get that 7th objective lit up.
So the one kind of unique thing about this flex set is we are not forcing magma. We're not even forcing a hook. So it is conceivable that we can find a magma key somewhere around, and so we can avoid doing the hook route altogether. Even though the hook route is a requirement, but sometimes you don't want to engage that until you're ready. And I'm sure probably after maybe doing a few fights, in Castle Eblan after the trap chest, or even just the hairdryer's chest on the moon, because Darkness is ready and open and willing to show off itself. The XP there will probably be just enough to justify a trip down the hook route.
Yes, absolutely. We've got Scott loading up racing up the whale as we speak. Neon, on the other hand, is climbing up ordeals. Kind of an early play on this, usually. You don't see this done too often, unless you have specifically a Tella that you want to get online, or a Sussex you want to get online, because it's a little bit of a long slog. You got 3 bosses here. You certainly got the power to do it, though, so it's definitely a play that they are more than happy to take, although they do see this Wyvern here. We'll see if it does survive one dart, and we have Powder, and they're blind. Oh no!
If you've seen the Yang with the kind of glasses, that's what the cool shades look like in Final Fantasy IV. That is, it's cool. But Wyvern didn't at least isn't a harm for us. But this is not gonna. We know this isn't gonna gate the way to the underground as Wyvern is part of that set. So maybe there's a Magma Kid in this. That might be a boon for Neon Gray.
Absolutely, it's definitely a play worth making. We've got Render also just finishing up in Baron Inn and is going to now raise the whale on his screen. And we had Bigan on the second slot here. It's a little bit of a spicy battle on the second battle here on Ordeals. It's on the back tech slot. It could be a little difficult, but I mean, as you can see with those early Drain Spear pickups for Neon, their edge is just going to town, darting 2,000 plus hit points worth of damage.
Well, blind only affects really attacks or anything related to an attack, so Dart doesn't care. That's so like he can throw darts from wherever he wants because that's edge because he's special. So that's the power of that command. But those punches not really hard, but that's okay. The battle's over.
Unfortunately, they haven't really found any great equipment for edge yet. I think we got a boomerang is the most thing that anyone's found so far. So those darts are really helping Edge keep up the DPS, as it were. But now Neon is free. We'll see what's on top of the mountain in 1 second once Yang is ready to go in alone.
I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Yes. I just want to say Scott's going to find the who's up here on the lunar dais.
Might be worth something. Hey, a mage! Hooray! Now we need to stuff him with all the stat sticks and stat armors that we can, because yeah, that's Tella. We'll definitely have some use and definitely incentivize Scott to head up Mount Ordeals. That's pretty much a guarantee. When you find a Tella, you want to get him online as quickly as possible.
And the reward for Ordeals, I don't know if you saw this, it was the Magma Key. It is the easy way down to the underground. That could be very interesting because I think Ordeals could potentially be fadeable. But now that I see that both Copper and Render are both getting their Tella from the moon, it will incentivize them to probably go do Ordeals for trying a hook dive.
So Scott is thinking the same wavelength I'm on. Probably might have probably purchased an hourglass or two at least from Cave Eblan shop, so that the hair dryers will be a lot more worth doable. Because and with all this HP, you'll probably be able to survive it anyways. But gotta have to check all the chests. There's only 3 of them, so just shouldn't be too long. Yep, there it is.
There it is. Always the last one you check. And we got Bacchus wine up here on the moon. Didn't realize they had vineyards up here.
You don't know what they're farming up here. That's how free enterprise rolls. You can farm wherever it is possible. You can have a you can definitely farm on the moon, but probably not the traditional way. You have that like what was those things that where you grow stuff. I forget off the top of my head.
Hydroponics.
Something like that. Yes.
Yes. Scott had a bad time with the first attempt at this trap chest, going in the second time and trying it here. Got the hourglass off. That should be good as long as everyone can hold off of one more round. Yeah, Ed should be fine here. Yes.
Yeah, you only need one person to survive. That's the trick. Probably might not revive Tella because we don't really want Tella to gain levels. It's not like there's not much to gain from that. I mean, you could, but not. It's fine.
Yeah, it definitely would be more of a case where you want to keep Tella low level for anchoring purposes. But once again, Sea Hero is on. Yang's your anchor, whether you like it or not. And it looks like Klopper is doing the same thing, going for the hairdryer chest, while Renderer picks up, is going through Sura here. Where's Kane? Yes, got Kane there. And Neon taking that Babbitt key is going to be the first of our 4 runners to go underground tonight.
I mean, there is no worse time. I mean, any time is a good time, and there's just so many things on the table as it is that going down this route. This isn't slow. It's pretty early, quick. With all this access on the table, it's hard to imagine, what the options like. Any time is a good time to activate to get access to the underground.
Absolutely, especially since you do have that pan in tow, so you can just go right ahead, get that objective out of the way. You can grab the freebie in Feymarch. You can check out all 3 of the gated shops down here, see if you can find any more of those really nice J items. I mean, it's absolutely the play you want to make at this point.
I think really though, just to open this trap chest, not just the experience, but you're hoping for some Hanzo steel. Edge is gonna do the bulk of the work, but doesn't quite have the tools to do it with. So it's kind of one of those. You're still and maybe for an adamant armor, as adamant armor is equipable most of the time. Most flag sets don't include the adamant armor, and this league, kind of like a swan song for Adamant Cup. We get to play with adamants.
Absolutely, yes. And it's always nice when you get that really, really powerful armor, basically making one player nigh on invulnerable. We have Neon here, just went down to do the pan, and now is going to save out here and take care of Fabul all in one fell swoop. You'd like to see it.
Yeah, this is the rare moment where you actually just visit Fabul once. That is, it's only when the seed rolls a certain way. I guess we have somewhere to go? I don't think so.
And indeed, it looks like we did pick up an adamant armor from there, so that is a very nice pickup.
Can't say no to adamant. The only caveat is to think about who you want to do all the work, or to survive, or who you really want to survive. I think now this is adamant armor doesn't guarantee survival on Z, but it surely makes how much damage they're able to do much more efficiently. It's just I usually think, and this is at least with the current priority construction, Edge is the prime candidate, but there may be a situation where you might need Tala to stay upright just to pull off a Q or cast a Berserk or something. So, but for now, Edge is still the prime candidate for this benefit.
No, absolutely, I would agree. Edge has the most upside in this current party. Kane's not bad, but probably is going to do more damage right now, just comparing them at what they have right now in terms of their load up. But Edge, if you can find even one very good Ninja Sword, he's going to be doing so much damage.
Might be actually worth just doing Castle Eblan or even the trap chest on the way to Hook, just for the loot itself. You don't need everyone to have to be loaded, but you need at least one person to do the work. And right now, although we could have Edge, but doing the work, but we need a weapon to give to him to make him do it. And even if it's just the Avenger for Kane, it's just as good.
And it was Mylon Z that was storming the castle here. It's just a live staff here for doing the defense, but it's nice to get that out of the way. And of course, the real prize is going to be over on the other tower once you return the pan.
If you have like a white shirt plus that life staff, Tella can pretend to be a foo, literally. That's not the ideal situation, but sometimes you just need that one heal, Tella will probably perform 2 from the cure 4, but that's kind of what you want to be aiming for, and just the optional heal just in case the nasty Ogo shows up in the meanest spots. Although I think we've already spotted Ogo and dispatched him already.
So Ogo was hiding out in Antlion Cave, so that was a very nice spot to find Ogo. Sheila tonight had the Earth Crystal and the Pinktail, so there's another adamant armor for you if you want to grab it, and 2 more characters over from the Earth Crystal.
I think that's definitely a cash in, especially if although I think most of our runners have. Oh, I think half of our runners have done the hairdryer chest.
I believe it's just Hoffer and Scott. Yes.
Yeah. So those that will kind of stumble onto it will probably pick that up, anyways. Neon Gray not having done the hairdryer chest obviously sees Pinktail as an opportunity. So I mean, clearly to get the power, the adamant armor is instant power, just as good as a crystal sword or another strong weapon for our characters.
And I want to welcome in the raiding party from Free Enterprise. I hope you guys had a great race over there. Please, no spoilers, as I'm sure some people here would love to watch that race on their own time. We have a great race brewing here. We've got Klopfer versus Professor Renderer on the top, Neon Gray and Scott on the bottom. We have access everywhere. We've got the Darkness Crystal, we've got the underground access, and now it's just a matter of trying to get all of our objectives taken care of. We can launch the Falcon anytime we want. We can return the Pan anytime we want. We know where that is. And so just a matter of finding the rest of our 6 objectives required to get the crystal.
I mean, it's a seed is spicy when you start off with the hook, get Darkness at Antlion, and get Magma on Mount Ordeals. Pan at Baron Inn. So that's what makes this seed very spicy as it is. So yes, those of you who dreamed of a one shot Fabul, this is your seed.
I just want to throw back a little bit. I've got a question from a Gus Gamer asking if he would be best to put the adamant armor on Yang. And in my opinion, Yang really doesn't get very good until very late when it gets lots of levels, and the stat boost you get from the adamant armor really doesn't help him all that much. So I would not do it. But I do see we have a treasury check from Neon Gray, who gets a curse ring. That's 2 curse rings. That's already a pretty nice find, given the fact you are limited to tier 5 items down here.
Well, I mean, the treasury is cursed, so that's all you get. It's 2 curses out of 10. That's what it is. So it's technically successful, even though it's would like something better. But again, tier 5 mechs, kind of restricting the glorious loot that we normally see. So of considering what you can get, this is pretty good.
Yeah, you have to grade it on a curve given the max tier 5 flag is on.
So, but yeah, also, you don't, in a seed, especially when you have adamant arm, you do not want your hero to have the adamant unless they are the only one who's going to survive all the attacks and do all the work. You're going to make the agility anchoring issue much more difficult, especially given that Yang is the hero. So and it takes, for personally, you need Yang to reach 1000 HP. It's around level 20 before he starts kind of being reasonably useful. So right, so I would love to like see more Yang, but this unfortunately levels are what define Yang.
That's a good point about the agility anchoring. It would probably help a lot with these early boss checks, because you kind of want a fast anchor on the overworld and maybe even a little bit underground. But once you get to, say, the tower underground, you really want to try to get those slow anchor, because then by that point, the boss is going to out-agility you. We have Neon Gray going up the tower. They're going to do the Flame Dog check. Why not? See what a nice piece of equipment in this trap chest.
I saw sirens in the Tomra shop, so we have found our grind if we choose to use it. We do have Tella, so D Machine Grind could be on the table, but I think if you're not a fan of D Machine Grind, sirens are just as good.
That's right. We did have the Tella, so the D Machine Grind is possible, but given that so much of this seed is now open, you can probably find another way to get levels if you really wanted to. So it's good to find those sirens. Klopfer also giving us our job board check. I think it was electrical engineer tonight.
So massive upgrade on Neon Gray screen with the Masa Although I think there was a cheeky check just for the loot. I don't know. Oh, no, it was not cheeky check. Man, I'm forgetting where we're going. That's the so. But yeah, going up the tower. Maybe we're gonna try to find replacements for Sid or Edward. Don't remember what the max characters that can be that can rotate. I think maybe it's like 8 or something. So there's still options, but we can also have duplicates. So we'll see what comes up.
No, actually, there are no restrictions on the characters. They're all going to be in the seed. So yeah, this party is screaming out for a white mage. You absolutely need a white mage, something better than Tella. So if you can find a Rosa, find a Porum, you'd be really happy. Not saying you need to, obviously, but it would be nice to find. We have a blue rope here, but there's only one of them here. That means it's the Water Hag, not Gauntlet.
This is free, unlike the previous flag set where these bosses have to be taken to the HP, especially the Water Hag. We just have to do the normal bonk it 3 times and go away. Well, just do 3 times the damage. So it could be any sort of damage, even including using the items that cast Psych. That also considered dealing damage. So which is a kind of a unique thing of how the game tracks damage.
Right. We also have Scott doing the trap chest here at Eblan, seeing if we get some good equipment. We've got a Zeus God, which you definitely are happy to find. Throw that on that edge alongside that Ivan armor. He's loaded for bear.
Yeah. So the thing about Edge is that when you have 2 weapons equipped on him, his attack power scales a little bit more in terms of the bonus. You essentially get double the bonus for Edge in terms of attack power. Because as long as he has 2 weapons equipped, even if they're terrible claws, but that's still an attack power boost, and that's so Edge with the adamant armor scales a lot more in terms of his ability than anyone else.
And our character checks up here on the tower. We've got Cecil, and Palom. Both of them are pretty nice. Probably better than Edward in this situation since we haven't found a spoon, but that's definitely a very strong party for this time of the seed.
We've rid of the characters that we mentioned, both Edward and Sid, so that's a kind of a massive upgrade for Neon Gray. I don't think Neon picked up Edward. I'm trying to remember. I was thinking it wasn't a full party, but yeah, picking up Cecil will be fine, but you still have to find the burr. But for now, that setup is equivalent to Kane, so it's fine. Right.
I mean, chances are you're going to stumble upon a very nice weapon for Cecil sooner or later. So it is really more of a potential power upgrade, but even now, he'll be putting on some decent damage.
So some more chests. The trap chests, going for the skull chest, skull and Staleman. That set of enemies is kind of nasty because they can inflict status. And hey, open for a Bahamut. I've seen a Leviathan. I've seen a Bahamut. Where's Rydia?
Still to be announced. We have not found. We just found a pal. We haven't found any of the other really strong mages yet. We have Tella. Not going to say Tella's bad, but more of a utility mage.
I think even at this point, having a Talla would still be useful. You still need that white mage power, even if it's just the occasional blink. I mean, there are strats that you want to use Cecil with, like cover strats, and blink does a lot of the work for you. You don't want to be looking for like illusions and making Cecil spend turns using the item. So I think I'm not sure, has Neon Gray visited Lunar Dais?
I don't recall. If he did, he's taken the not to add the Tella to the party, so I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, Tella is a reasonable thing to ditch. It's not something you want to ditch, but given sometimes the party comp, maybe sometimes Tella has outlived its usefulness. It's not a slight on him. Sometimes the power of a character kind of levels off, and you kind of have to make a decision. Is the new character gonna do kind of more work than the previous character I'm replacing? And that's kind of what runners have to think of when it comes to party compositions at times.
So we actually just pointing out by our tracker, Step Lively, that Neon has yet to get the Darkest Crystal. They've been fading ordeals. Meanwhile, we have some very interesting potential diversion here because Scott's the only person who has not climbed ordeals yet. Did not find that magma key, but does have that hook. Did go through Eblan, get a lot of levels on their party. I think that he's thinking about doing the hook route underground, which normally you'd say, oh no, that's a bad sign because the magma key is so much easier. But Launch the Falcon is on the objective list. We'll have to see if this winds up really losing any time. I don't think it will.
I think from maybe Scott's perspective that perhaps there's nothing worth it. We know that it's the route ends up with just being a magma key, and that would save some time. But it's not a penalty if you can manage with Tella and then maybe replace Tella like after doing dwarf. You still have plenty of options on the table. So right now, if Tella's all good for just blink, an exit, I would consider that a success, and Scott has decided, hey, looking for that Staleman, here it is.
Yes, we shall see. Meanwhile, we do have, looks like Neon is also going to go through and clear out those Eblan chests, looking for, especially since they got that Cecil, that they're definitely going to look for one of those nice holy swords. Klopfer is climbing up the tower as well, going to be getting his Cecil and his Helm if so desired. And Render has gotten underground, does not have that pan yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, and pan is found at Baron Inn, so that's one of those things where there might be a situation where you might have literally forgotten doing an objective that would have gotten a key item, and that would have been it. The character probably might be the reason to not do it. Edward isn't exactly someone you'd want to find without the spoon in hand. So that might be the kind of the determination for Professor Renderer, and it's understandable given what you see at the spot.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And he's also going down Fey March. I don't know if we've actually had anyone go down here and see what's in the chest. If they have, I've missed it, so let's see.
I think Professor Renderer is on his own and found Adamant. The Adamant, that's nice.
That's one half of that Cocal Forge objective. Just need to find the Legend Sword to go with it. And probably also want to check to see what the bosses are down here. I'm not sure we've got anything left here that's necessarily immediately doable based on what we've already seen out of the pool. But we'll definitely want to take a check to get the information, if nothing else.
Yeah, even if you're not fighting the bosses, it's worth looking at it. So to gauge, is it worth their time? These spots may contain a key item. We know that is all Gauntlet, and with a Sparkle, so that's a nope for now. I think maybe look to save and peek the spot. Maybe hoping for a Plague. I think we've seen maybe the D-Lunars and we definitely seen Wyvern and Ogo.
We've seen Wyvern, yes, and Ogo. So I think it's D-Lunars or Plague or Pale Demon, the last one. But first off, he's going to check to see exactly what blue robe it is. We know that it's going to be the Gonk Goblins. We've seen the Water Hag up in the tower, so he now knows that that's a required spot. Obviously, can't do it just yet, though.
Looks like it's a leave, although we do have exit mode. Just maybe peek the other spot before leaving. Having the Tella a lot kind of affords the opportunity. There's still a way to walk out, but it's a little longer than casting exit. So I think peeking is definitely the way to go, and this is not really free at all.
No, we're going to put that one in our back pocket, I'd say, for the moment.
what makes that spot dangerous is the punch ability in that spot. So because that spot normally casts magic and isn't balanced for punching, well, it's overbalanced for punch ability. So that Pale Dim, which is a kind of a very trivial, not very complicated enemy to figure out, that boss will be miserable because on top of the slowdown of our characters, but it'll punch hard. So you would need essentially like a Cecil with cover and some gear to have that set up, and probably not set up for that quite yet.
No, that's definitely going to be a difficult spot. You're going to want to be geared properly for it. After clearing out Earth Crystal, we got Baron Key, and we have Klopfer immediately taking that into Baron and clearing out the castle.
Looks like Scott is also going for the loot, and we will find out how valuable it is. Is it something worthwhile? Okay.
Not really.
It is, but it's disappointing.
Honestly, I think almost everyone. Okay, if you go to Sid, I was going to say I think we have Zeus gauntlets and strength rings for everyone who wanted them at that point. So, yeah, could have been better.
I mean, it could be worse. I've seen Cure 3s mock me every so often, so it hasn't been lost on me. But a black shirt for a black mage, so that's good for Neon Gray. So I mean, the wizard robe, nice, but applies to the unnecessary stat. So yeah, certainly worth an upgrade, but probably not the gear Neon was looking for.
About it all. Klopfer's hit the second boss here. It's 3 imps in a robe masquerading as the king.
It's a thing. This is how you hide. This is how you stack them. That's the Baron way.
We actually have Red go now that they have. We're going to try Dwarf Castle. We have yet to see Golbez in all this. We now know where the gauntlet is, but Golbez is still MIA.
Oh, that's free. That's free is to freeze on the Hook Queen Eblan spot on the hook route. So this is pretty harmless, but a nuisance. We Press Renderer is fighting Bahamut, so that's kind of free. You just have to get the Star Veils off or punch it to oblivion before the countdown happens. And that's going to be followed up with a turtle, so which at that spot doesn't have a lot of HP, like 3,000 HP, so it's pretty free from that perspective. So, but though Render doesn't know it's a turtle because has not gone up of Zot.
Meanwhile, Klopfer got through Baron and got a Foo for his troubles, and opted to keep the Foo alongside the Tella, getting rid of Kane, which is a very interesting choice to be made, because you would have thought that with Foo being basically a souped-up version of Tella, you wouldn't want to keep both of them around, but obviously he has a plan.
I mean, in this party, you might need all the blink spell casters you can get. Tella as a utility mage is very powerful when you know when to use the spells. So having a second one may, at least in Klopfer's mind, outweigh the Kane. I mean, sometimes you might not find the weapon for Kane, and Kane kind of plateaus because of his weapon options. And he's not the hero of the Siege, so which kind of makes a bit of sense. At least I think it's a justifiable one. Probably not what I would go, but it's an interesting decision and maybe worth asking.
Absolutely. I do find it interesting whenever you watch people run seeds like this, the different philosophies they have of party composition. It really shows that there are many ways of playing this game.
Yeah. So we're Klopfer's peaking, and it's bonus round. D-Mist has shown up.
That's going to punch a little hard here, but definitely manageable, especially with, like I said, those blink casters of the party. You can definitely get through this. And if you're choosing to punch the person who has the Abbott armor up on the back row, that Demas was gonna have a bad time.
I assume if Klopper finds a decent weapon for Cecil, we'll move it to Cecil and make him just do cover strats. That is just the kind of the way to kind of go through a lot of these, especially when the Cecil is available. You want Cecil to cover. You want him to punch with the biggest sword that he can find. So it's one of those strats where it's like it can't usually go wrong most of the time.
Render had a very interesting decision to make there. Render found Porum in the Dwarf Castle slot and gave a really good think about which character to ditch, thinking about maybe ditching even the Edge. Looks like he really hasn't found any good ones for Edge. But in the end, opted to ditch the Porum, at least for now, going to go without a White Mage.
It's kind of an interesting decision. I mean, the easy one to yeet would actually be Sid in the current party construction, because he's not really serving a role that others are filling. He already have a tank in the form of Yang, and weapon wise he kind of capped in the same way that everyone has. Best weapon combo is a bow and arrow, Artemis bow, Artemis arrow, and you might not even get that on a Sid. So that is it's interesting decision, probably worth asking. Because I know the Porum doesn't sound appealing, but you do need the White Mage, and I don't. In a pinch, Tella could, if given enough equipment, can do Porum things, but it's not as appealing long term, because you wanna kind of get that settled. You want to get her to levels. She needs levels more than anyone.
I know there is sometimes a philosophy where you grab a stack of Cure 3s and use your basically your tanks to act as healers. However, obviously, maybe we'll be choosing that route. We do have just a Bahamut summon in Dwarf Castle. Not exactly what we're looking for, since we don't have a Rydia yet. But we do have the Warp Glitch on, so let's see what's hiding down in Sealed Cave.
Required harp.
That's a twin harp. That is a required item for objective number 1.
I don't think I've seen the uses of Elixir just for this exact purpose. You can actually cheese it a little bit. Go into the inn, paying for the nap, and then warp your way all the way back into the crystal room. It's actually kind of a cheeky way of doing it. But hey, save if you want to save time, go use that Elixir. It's gonna be there.
Meanwhile, Scott does get through the hook route, got through the bosses down there, got objective 6 lit up because he has launched the Falcon, and now he has his underground access since he has chosen to fade ordeals for the moment.
Where did we... and Klopfer, having fought the D-Mist, is looking for what Rodia's mom has, and it's worth nothing. So that's fine.
That's pretty much a definition of a zonk at this point.
So I think many of our runners are kind of doing the same things the others have been doing. So Scott with the pen in hand is going to do some bonking. Renderer just finished turning in. Oh wait, no, it doesn't have the pen in hand. So wow. So I'll be surprised if he remembers. Hey, Baron is a thing. So I'm sure teammates are rooting for him to do that. I'm just a commentator. I have no rooting interest, but it would be nice if that's remembered.
That's right. Obviously all of our runners are running independently, and so even though we're sitting up here in the skybox here, seeing everything that's going on, they only get part of the picture. They still have to try to work out the rest of it on their own. And speaking of working it out on our own, I believe we are now either a Legend Sword or a package away from at least being in what we'll call no mode, where we know where the solution to the seed lies. Those could be in a whole bunch of places, because in this flag set we've turned on key items back on the moon, as well as on the summon spots like down here in the Fey March where Scott is.
I mean, I expect kind of the moon to be not haunted at all. we still have. I mean, we know where the football gauntlet is. Laughing Man is at large, so so I think there will be some kind of moon grinding. Just although it could be Golbus could be hiding in Cave Valley. Although I don't think I remember what was on Cave Valley if anyone has visited that. So yeah. But outside of that, we'll probably see a lot of we'll be seeing some kind of face peeking of the bosses in the LST.
Yeah, there's definitely value in doing that. I don't think anyone's done anything on the moon aside from doing a little shopping and getting the tele that's up there.
I mean, it's a one-stop shop for all your needs, for all your drinking needs, really. I mean, if there's a vineyard on the moon, there should be a sign somewhere. That's what I'm saying. That's just suggesting.
Yeah, you'd expect it to be a little more in the way of advertising, I suppose you should say.
So, I think probably worth looking at, what are the other options? I mean, right, like I think we haven't seen like a keyless tower run, which is probably not appealing because most of the time you don't want to be keyless, especially given what we have so far. So, and I feel like I really do feel that it is a moment. There'll be a point where that dive is going to happen, but looks like Renderer has decided have the objective, do the objective. Maybe there'll be a chain down the line, which could be the package for all we know. So maybe commentators blessing. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. There's usually two rules people quote when it comes to routing. It's do your freebies and do your objectives. And Twin Harp certainly isn't free given the amount of time you have to invest in getting to the randomized song, but it is an objective, so definitely is worth doing, which Render is doing, and Klopfer is pretty soon due as well, since he just got through Dwarf's Well to get the harp that was hiding down in Sealed Cave.
Where did we pick up the Baron Key? I see Klopfer and Neon picking up the Baron Key.
That came from Earth Crystal.
Okay, that makes sense. So that just means Renderer has not done Earth Crystal. Because we found Cecil up top of the tower. So yeah. So I think Renderer is trying to figure out where to put stuff, probably maybe trying to find some metallic equipment to speed up the situation, as any piece of metallic equipment effectively means death. So that will speed up the sequence of events.
Right. You want to have the Dark Elf do its little me attack you cutscene. Unfortunately, it looks like we can't find anything to put on Tello, so Talos or Edge for that matter. Is Edge up? Yeah, Edge is up.
Unable to punch himself. It's disappointing, but that's okay. We could probably just let the Dark Elf do its thing, and we'll murder both Edge and Tella, which will end the sequence.
We had Stereo Dark Elf there for a second, as Neon was also looking for the Mist and went to Mist Cave and found the actual Dark Elf hiding out there.
So we will briefly leave you to some music. I probably assume from Klopfer, or Professor Renderer. It doesn't matter because, hey, you enjoy Break, we do too.
Music from Xenogears for you tonight as Val goes down very quickly here in the cave. I was very surprised to see Fu get a nuke off there because this spot is very, very high magic defense, and I think as soon as Val started spinning, that would have missed. So it was a nice chunk of HP down. Klopfer early on that fight got Cave Magnus #1 lit up on his side.
Well, nuke is one of the only spells that naturally kind of cut through a lot of the max magic defense hype. Although enemies can normally have a max magic defense of 254. There's a few monsters that have that, like behemoths. So you can nuke them. They do have a lot of magic defense to resist a lot of that, but it cuts through like Bahamut cuts through knife on butter. That's how hot it is. So that's it. But certainly got him in before the spinning. So that's very good fortune. Especially, I think at this point our party is much faster than Val. So Scott is actually taking on the alt gauntlet. That is that is your grind. I mean, well, maybe there'll probably be a second grind, but this is the grind.
And there's a renderer through Val as well, having a little harder time getting through that since Val started spinning there, but eventually to get through. And Scott did get through that gauntlet, getting that a nice chunk of experience there. Obviously, getting #3 lit up on the board there. Everyone else who went down to Feymarch opted to pass on that for the time being. So we'll see if the fact that he's got that in the bag helps speed him along a bit more.
Anytime you do a grind, it definitely moves everything along that much faster. Even though the grind itself is kind of long and enduring. Klopfer and Renderer are probably going to do the same thing. They're literally going to do the hook route. Having picked up the tower key, might as well, hey, here's a good opportunity. I do the hook route and then come back into the tower. Whoa, that's routing for you.
So I think Renderer is going to do Earth Crystal because he hasn't done that yet, so he'll get the Baron Key out of that. But Klopfer is doing the hook route, getting the Falcon launch for #6. Neon finally did go to Antline after fading as long as possible, I think, and they now have their Darkness Crystal, and is now going to do Dwarf Castle and be rewarded with the Twin Harp.
There are times where I forget routing line altogether. It's like because you're trying to speed up routing by having access to exit. Now, obviously, having a Tella or Fu makes it easier to leave the place quicker. But sometimes it's one of those things where you just kind of forget in the back of your mind. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't done that yet. So, so better to remember than to have completely forgotten and faded into perpetuity.
Scott has actually decided to go ahead and take out Pale Dim as well. You see that on Edge with that adamant armor in the back row. He's not taking any damage, so it's just a matter of time before this fight goes down, and this would mean that Scott gets to cross off Feymarch off his to-do list completely after doing this.
Yeah, but that Cecil, the options are different, so it makes sense to make sure that Edge is always upright. Everyone else, not as important. So as long as Edge is alive, you're fine. And especially with the though, did Scott do the hairdryer chest? Because I don't see a pink tail, so I'm not sure if there's an adamant armor.
Yeah, Scott is one of those that did go through the subterranean, grab that adamant armor in that chest.
Okay, so that's fine. You only need one person to live, and the XP here isn't that great anyways. So this is fine.
while Klopfer is going through Leviathan on the hook route. Definitely not the worst place to find Leviathan. The Ice Juicer is not going to do too much.
Yeah, Ruby at the spot. While you remember Ruby for Glare, Ice 2 is not Glare. That's the problem. So Leviathan is a very tame boss at this position. So this is, and if you see, that was a quick fight. Especially with Fu with all the bosses fought, so he's powered up. Fu in Free Enterprise needs 40 boss fights in order to kind of power up. So it learns three spells per fight. It's unique to Free Enterprise, and it's kind of a nice way to balance them. But Fu is the reason why Fu is restricted by default.
Right, you don't want to get that early access to those really game-breaking spells early on in your seed. It could really makes a difference especially if Fu is one of your starting characters and you just happen to find him based on your routing. That can really give you a leg up on in a competition.
And what I mean by restricted, just to clarify, is that characters are usually have to be gated behind something in order to obtain them. So we're usually talking about Cave Eblan, Dwarf 1, so things that require a key item to kind of access the area.
Klopfer is now through, got that Falcon launch. That's 3 out of the 6 required objectives needed to get the crystal and gain access to the final boss. Now, with a decent amount of levels on, I wonder if Klopfer's going to go down here and take on the Gauntlet to get that 4th objective lit up.
Do we know if Scott back row glitched his edge? Because the damage seemed a bit underwhelming. Maybe he had 2 long swords or something. But and I know there was a boomerang earlier in the seed, so there and you need to back row glitch edge. You need to have the boomerang in his right hand at any given time, or it does not set the back row bit on a permanent basis.
I have not noticed if a back row glitched or not, but given the amount of damage he was putting on, I think it was about 1,300. It sort of does indicate either a lack of really good weapons or just having that the back row issues.
Yeah, it's a minor thing. I mean, that happens. If you can remember to put the boomerang on him just temporarily, you only need to purchase even the cheapest of boomerangs. You're fine most of the time. And Renderer is making a decision. Time to choose.
Almost chose Sid, and no, chose to get rid of the Palom instead. Or sorry, that's right, the Palom. Not the Forum. The Forum comes out of Dwarf Castle, excuse me.
Looks like we'll have a reprisal of music very soon. Wouldn't be too long for Neon Grey. Sequence didn't really get rid of Fu, but it's whatever. The sequence will guarantee Fu will take a nap.
So there it goes, and once again we'll hear that really nice music from the Xenogears series.
Xenogears series, favorite of one of our runners and streamers, Xenocat, who contributes to some of the music. So yes, please enjoy.
And Neon is through with Val. And as you saw there, once Val starts spinning in that spot, she is unnukeable. So, yeah, it's a very good fortune for Copper to get that nuke off early, as he did.
Got to spin to win. It's, but you know the spinning action for most spots gets her to magic immunity. When a monster has its stat set to 255 during a battle, and there are instances where you can do that with Shell, a J spell in this game. They just kind of magic just disappears. So that's just literally how it works. It doesn't matter how it happens, but yeah, that it's one of those things you might see some tech to do that in some community races, but really, she's the one who exposes 255 magic defense for what it is. Magic invincibility.
And Nia's doing a very clever thing here, going through still in Cave Magnus has got a battle here with an ogre who, if you sneak the ogre with edge, you get some Bacchus wines.
Much easier to steal from than Mad Ogres because the difference in levels. The monster level in this cave is around 20-ish, which even a base edge is more than enough to have a great chance at stealing. Don't even need a Porm for this, so that's what. So very very intelligent play, especially don't want to spend money on the Bacchus wines, though we do know there's a shop full of them. So hey, if you want to save some money, this is an alternative option.
Right, and as far as Neon Grey knows, Bacchus wines might not be in the seed, because I believe he's the only one who has yet to raise the whale and take a look at the shop up on the moon where they are for sale.
Yeah, not every runner goes shopping, and sometimes, when they don't decide not to make that decision, it's it's what it is. I mean, we've seen a lot of shopping in the previous previous flag set. Here, shopping is going to be more normalized in the sense that you're probably going to see more shopping at the higher end stores, the higher tier stores. So unless you're buying like life potions and maybe some ether ones, most of the shopping is going to be in a high upper tier store because of the potential of the equipment or even the item availability that's in the shops.
Yes, that's right. It's no longer T wild as it was or S wild, excuse me, as was last few weeks. Now it's S standard, so you're going to only find those really nice items under the gated shops.
So Neon is now going up Mount. No, sorry, not all these towers. We're climbing, going up, going down, going all over the place. And Neon is, making a decision, trying to get some loot. Well, also, I guess maybe also, and as well, get some free summoning. We know the sirens are in the Tamra shop, but if you don't want to, if you're not a shop to your drop kind of person, this is a way of getting using the knowledge that you have to gain the items that you need to complete a seed. And while sirens are not required to end a seed, but you need the levels, and sirens are your way. So this is knowledge. You have an edge, and stealing all the things is definitely a thing.
Absolutely, and also these are some very free shots at some very nice equipment here. White Spear, not exactly what we're looking for. If we can get a really nice sword for that Cecil, we feel a whole lot better.
But there was a cane in this seed, so that if someone wanted to shop, do this for the White Spear, it would have been worth it. There's this, there's 4 trap chests on the tower, so that's 4 chances at at some burr for Cecil or for some more Hanzo Steel for Edge. So it makes sense, and the low difficulty monsters to fight. The alert is not a threat at this point for our runners. So this is kind of a free go at some good tier leer.
Absolutely. Klopfer, on the other hand, says, I don't want to spend the time trying to get it. He's also going up the tower and eschewing all the chests as he does it. Scott just went through ordeals and got the bad news that the Maverick Key was on the overworld. I don't think he minds it too much, as he does have the Falcon launched and got that objective out of the way.
Yeah, again, things you do, things you don't do. That kind of defines. And though but it'll be worth it once Scott goes up all the way the tower and finds Cecil up the tower. So, that might be worth doing as a whole. Just to getting Cecil kind of online-ish, already converted to Paladin, as you don't necessarily want to do Mountaineers too late in a seed.
That's right. You still obviously want to get the power onto the Cecil and also the Talon, which Scott still has. And at the top of the tower, we have Plague waiting for us. Certainly don't mind seeing that.
Very free battle. We just, with all the power that's available and given to Klopfer, I mean, even if you just berserk Cecil and Edge, you're pretty much done. Although I think Klopfer has other designs. Probably wants to reset the timer by killing off Porum.
To be using that strat where you have one of your party swoon and then come back to life, and then Plague says, "Oh wait, someone's not counting down. We have to recast count."
Something is wrong on the internet. This is Plague. No, you are not counting down. That's Plague. If it had fingers, it kind of have claws for wings. I don't know. But that's Plague.
As you can see by the amount of damage the clouds are putting out, that Plague shouldn't be too much of a problem. Neon's still digging through the chest here, seeing if we can find anything. I don't believe I've seen anything worthwhile come out of this chest, unfortunately for them.
Klopfer already has double XP, having picked up 10 key items and got a valuable pass, so we can go to the LST and not worry about coming up all the way from the lunar core. So that is definitely worth the trip, even if whatever is the result of Super Cannon doesn't work out.
And in the cannon room here, we had an Odin, which, one punch and he's gone. And we'll see if the tower key gives us anything worthwhile, or else we're going to have to start, digging up out of the moon, trying to find our last required key items.
There is a really tiny shot that our laughing man is, deep within Luca Cave, the sealed cave. While not unlikely, but it can appear anywhere. But the thing about boss hunts is that any boss spot doesn't really have any particular restriction. I think D-Mist has a few restrictions, but Golbez is unrestricted, so could be lodged in sealed cave where you've already picked up the twin harp, even without going through the front door. So that's
yeah. I think in that case, we just say we'll do the other 6 objectives.
Yeah, it is possible, but just always sometimes they keep in the back of their mind. At least runners will keep in the back of their minds. Sometimes you don't want to really chase down a boss. It's better that you kind of, as part of your routing, stumble onto them.
Scott has now completed the tower. Zot didn't take either the Cecil or the Palom that was available there. I think at this point in the seed, without a really strong Holy Sword, I do understand the choice to not take Cecil along.
Yeah, oftentimes, just a character, when they're picked up or not, it depends on what you have. So say if you got a late Edge, and you don't have any Hanzo Steel, and you have nothing to throw. The incentive to keep Edge isn't there, and so the calculus for Edge can be different for a runner based on what they have. Now some will go out of the way to like, hey, I know what these things are. I will go buy. I will go acquire. I will get all these things for that character. But of course, depends on how late a seed that character shows up. So, like, I could also understand like getting a Palom to this late, to nuke for Z is kind of a painful process at this point. So if it was maybe like a half an hour earlier, that Palom would be a much more palatable option.
Absolutely, it's going to require a lot of experience to get Palom up to the end game levels that he requires to be useful in the final fight. And like I said, without the having any really strong weapons for Cecil, I do understand it. An hour 10 into the seed, just saying, I'm good with my party as it is.
I think Klopfer's pound package, and we'll unleash what's in it. And we have a vanilla Viridia. Is this even? Well, it's a second scoop though, so I guess it's been pretty diet vanilla this seed.
Yeah, there really haven't been a large number of things where they are in the vanilla game. So thanks very much to our restreamer Hush Pyramid who rolled the seed. Now, interesting question here is that all you need to do is burn the village in order to get credit for the 5th objective that you see it lit up right now. Do you go and just take a peek and see if your missing Golbez is in the Kaipo Inn?
Yes. Definite answer is yes. It's a very tame spot, very non-lethal spot. So, and while you're here, you gotta at least try to save scum it at the very minimum. Just save after the quake, and then just come back. I mean, what? There's nothing. It's kind of a free check at this point. So why not?
Absolutely, it's only gonna cost you a minute, maybe 90 seconds to get through all the cutscene, but. If it winds up being your go mode, you absolutely want it.
I mean, really, you don't want to really go out of your way. If it's an objective, you might as well. So because the package is an objective, you might as well. But I think Klopfer has decided, I don't want to find out. That's fine. It's a decision. If Golbez is there, I'm sure we'll find out. But it's fine. It's kind of an unlikely probability.
True, but if you start digging around on the moon trying to find all the bosses there, you don't find your Golbez, and it takes a while to get through, and you're not finding your Legend Sword either. It's always in the back of your mind. Did I miss it?
I still think I'll stumble onto a Crystal Sword, probably like in the Ribbon Room, just because. Ribbon Room. 2 opportunities for key items, but just as well for a very high tier piece of equipment. Neon will making the same decision, so we'll see if Neon will decide, hey, I think maybe peak that spot. So we'll see.
Meanwhile, I'm just going to be stocking up on some of those Bacchus wines. Very nice purchase there. Scott gets through Baron Inn, and while Renderer is almost through the hook route, going to get objective number 6 up and running. And Neon has burnt the village. That's objective number 5 done.
Just a note, if you have a Sand Ruby objective on top of a package objective, you will have to actually fight the boss in order to get regain access to Kaipo. So that's a kind of a nuance on how the objectives work. So fortunately our runners don't have that, but just kind of those things that you just kind of have to remember as a runner.
Well, it's the timing you have to juggle sometimes if you have to do both of them. Looks like Klopfer is going to check cave value, see what's the fight here, and that is a reset.
That's a nope.
Yeah.
So on top of that spot being super punchy, Dark Wave don't care about your defense. There is a reason why DKC the fight is referred to in memory as Pain Man, because he dishes the pain, and even if you want to survive it, you know what, it might be worth doing outright, but it's just a lot of pain being dished and not what we're looking for. I mean, right now we're just looking for the boss, for Golbez or the other part of Forge, and so we'll be seeing some peaks, and eventually we will see some LST fighting.
Yes, that's tied for the worst spot in the game for DKC. It does around 1,200, 1,300 damage per Dark Wave. I wouldn't be surprised if LST comes up blank, if Klopfer does go back and takes it on, because by that point he'll have a ton of experience. He might be able to survive that with either with Yang just straight up, or if you can time a good heal on him.
Or you could just be cute and get back the Edward that was yeeted probably long earlier this siege, and take him just briefly and then yeet him back out when you're done. But that's also a lot of time to consider, because you have to do the trips and go to Mysidia, where all your characters that you have found in your journeys will be there. So yeah, that is an option, but not something you want to first do unless maybe it's the last objective, and even then, Spoon still has to show up to even justify doing it.
Right, and then meanwhile, you've got some face checking to do at the bottom of the boon here. If you just find that Golbez, if he's hiding in one of these rooms, then you're golden.
The bulk of the XP comes here, and unlike the previous flag set, we can abuse all these bosses that don't have the boss bit to our heart's content. So things like coffins, hourglasses, they are super valuable, and you see the hourglass being thrown, and it's beautiful, because this fight is already over before it started.
And also, if you really wanted to, you can do a life glitch here now as well. And given how much experience is at this spot, it's absolutely worth it.
This is a free second grind, and this is like the most generous of grinds that you could ever get. This LST spot that has the most XP to, I think it's 100,000 naturally, so it's doubled to 200,000, and they get to life glitch. So probably see something north of maybe 300,000, because the officer has the most XP in the spot compared to the soldiers. So this is gonna be glorious for level gaining and getting Porum to where she needs to be.
It's gonna be north of enough. Let's put it that way.
It's almost 300,000, but that's good enough. And hey, see, talk about that burr. That's where the loot is really at. Ribbon Room.
It's the twin pack of amazing swords there. You got Mazmune and you got an Excalibur. Exactly what Klopfer wanted. Well, Legend Sword probably was also on the wish list, but that's a nice twin pair there.
Yeah, still looking for the legend. This is not exactly ideal, but this is still XP. I mean, we still actually have a Z fight. You remember that guy? The Z? That guy.
I thought we gave him the tournament off.
No, he can only have half the Z. And this is the Z that we do want.
Well, so far that was there's an Octomom that we don't want to fight at the moment. We'll see if we can find Golbez the Mazmune altar.
I'm kind of surprised. It's actually the fight is actually straightforward, because Octomammoth, after dishing the first initial 3 hits, slows down immensely. But this is another free fight, and I think Klopfer is just looking to peek the spots. This is kind of the path Klopfer is choosing, and so could be that the Golbez is hiding in the Crystal Sword altar, the Wyvern spot, and although surprisingly did not kind of peek the Murazame spot first before coming all the way down here.
It's the age-old question: you do bottom up or top down?
I'm always I always like my chances on the Merzane slot. And it's only one spot, but it's super convenient if you don't get what you want. It's still XP. There are so many benefits. It's like a one-off spot, kind of like K value. Honestly, at least from my perspective, anyways.
Yeah, I always usually do the rule of thumb is if I need only one item or one boss, I'll do top down. Otherwise, I'll go bottom up.
I mean, there's still boss spots. This is so. I'm surprised we're just not taking any of these fights. All of these spots are pretty easy to take on. Not fun, but you're kind of trying to get that legend sword by hook or by crook. And there's not many items on the table that will kind of lead to that. I mean, the only other thing that would lead to that would be the rat tail, which might get you the legend sword, which is the only key item that at large would kind of mess up the math that's left on key items.
Well, I believe our long search is over, because over on Scott's screen, I spy a Golbez.
Well, ha to me. I did. So I assume this is the Mura spot, right?
I think
because that's the only other place left, and we know that it's definitely not K value. That is. So yeah, this is the spot. See, this is what I'm saying. You gotta peek the spot. It's one off, but this is the boss you need. And so Klopfer is effectively in go mode, and after this, it's a straight path to Z. I probably might just go the pass route, given the situation.
I believe when you're at this altar, it is quicker to get to Z via the pass rather than going down the terrain again. If you're already down at the bottom of the moon, it is just quicker to walk at that point.
And there's some tricks that our runners have access to take on to take on Golbez. But of course, not knowing what the boss is would require a reset, and obviously that's not worth it. So, given what we have, and with the adamant armors at large, it's a pretty safe fight. So normally you have to use some clever mechanics, but adamant armor pretty much solves what this fight needs.
And yeah, you see Cecil doing the 8K, 9K swing there. This is a done deal at this point. Yeah, there's the Y. There is objective number 2, objective number 4 on Klopfer's side. Klopfer is now officially in go mode.
Yes, it's not game over. It's that fight that we kind of forgot to talk about at one point in time, and now we must get it. And Luca, he's here. Yeah, that's good job, Seed. Good job.
Not quite 17 out of 17, but it was definitely a very a long clear for getting all of our stuff online here. Klopfer is going to exit out, going to go back to the planet and do the pass and get to Z. And as we always say, Z is no laughing matter. Z can, with a bad coordination or just unlucky roll between phases, it can always surprise you. But we'll see if Klopfer's got the. He certainly has the levels and the equipment. I think he's going to have a good time with this.
Yeah, this is. I think Klopfer's set up. With all the kind of indirect grinding done in the seed, or even Porum has learned Cure 4, so this is a pretty safe fight. Ironically, not having obtained the other half of Forge would have kind of messed with Yang's agility, as 2 out of the 3 claws would have gained agility from it. I think it was Tiger Fangs, Hand of the Gods. Those 2 have agility. Dragon Claw doesn't increase agility, so getting Forge would not really have helped Yang in such a way for the Z fight, or any of other. Not necessarily a problem for the other fights, but if you worry about agility, the Forge wouldn't have been the way it is.
Right, and it's been 4 weeks. We're kind of out of practice here, so I believe there used to be a question we used to ask going to this fight. Would you like to do the honors?
Sure, but what was the question? No, yeah. So Z, that guy, the boss, you would love to move elsewhere, but can't because technical constraints and all sorts of all shenanigans that would require to do that. So, but we care is about one question and one question only about Z, and that question is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? It's a favorite. It's a favorite to find out what Z cosplays as each seed. It's the journey that gets you to this point where it's so much fun, and the surprise, especially if it's not one you've seen before.
And of course, there's all these sub questions that we ask as well. Is it cute? Is it scary? Does it have a hat? Is it Chibi Sephiroth?
Scala, you've done it again. I don't know how many Sephiroths have exists in the pool, but it's more than we'd ever need. But in your case, it's never enough. So I totally get it. Go ahead.
I would say it looks like we got the Silk Web out to slow down Sephiromus, and Porum took the nuke, but was able to survive it. So Porum has some very good equipment on there. It's going to be able to heal back up, and with 3 Berserkers already going, this looks like a very solid start to the fight.
As long as Fu gets a chance to heal Porum, should be fine. The only concern about this fight is usually the initial Big Bang, because that's obviously devastating, and Porum is in that HP level where it's kind of unsafe, so a nerf Big Bang makes the damage significantly safer, as when a Big Bang is unnerfed, like it has a cap of 2700 HP, and that's quite a bit. When it is nerfed, the damage is more than half off, where the maximum damage dealt would be 1200, and which Porum is more than safe in having.
And given the amount of power output that Cloudflare has going right now, I'll be very interested to see if we even get a second Big Bang.
It can be tricky. But having a Silk Web makes things a lot much easier. The Big Bangs don't come as frequently, and when you're jamming the queue with Berserkers, all you worry about is when to select Cure for the Big Bang, if it even shows up. But this is not, I don't, outside of like maybe a Big Bang into rocks. I mean, this is looking to be pretty safe with all these Berserkers, with a pair of them having adamant armor, probably Cecil and Edge. So this is pretty safe. Even if Porum takes a nap, that's okay. Fu is less than likely to take the same nap Porum is.
There is the there is the crack and the bang. We have a winner. It is Klopfer who wins this top race against Professor Renderer with an official time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, 47 seconds. GG's to Klopfer.
Yep, GG's to Klopfer. That was a seed. Just given all that concerning. I mean, probably not quite a 1770, but you might as well have been, because there's a lot of key items to go through just to get to Golbez at that point.
And I believe I just heard a ding in my ear. I think we are joined by the winner of this race, Klopfer. GG's, well done.
Hey, thank you very much. GG's to everyone in that race. The only thing better than 1 adamant armor. 2 adamant armors.
2 adamant armors. How did you think that seed went for you?
I was pretty happy with the seed overall. Like, definitely the going through it, the power level, especially with 1 adamant armor, I was already feeling confident on tackling everything. With 2, the power level was just incredibly high. So good on not having to take any unnecessary wipes or wasting too much time boss fights. My routing definitely was causing me a little bit of concern, especially the that dip into Baron Castle, something I don't normally like to do in this flag set, but I was dumped out right outside of it with that Baron key in hand. So we went ahead and did it, and especially once we went into that basement, got the demist and saw double whiff. That looked a little bad. So, but
No, it seemed like it was. It seemed like it was relatively smooth sailing for you once you got those admin armors online. You got good characters. How do you think this flag set is going to play for you as we play for the next few weeks?
I think overall, I'm hoping it will go well. There's definitely there's a lot of different stuff, I guess, that can happen in this flag set. Sometimes you just get all the power like you do in this seed. There's definitely some seeds that where you just don't get good characters. You just don't get the good items. You don't get the ability to take on the trap chest to find like some of these hot items, and just being locked to tier 5 can really slow you down. You might have progression locked behind your crystal room, and your hero is not well equipped to take it on, and so those can be tough. So I think they kind of split there in different types of challenges. Ones where you have to get a bunch of power and play fast versus have challenges to have to tackle. Will make it a very interesting flag set to play in. I think I generally play pretty safe, so when you get these really high power type seeds, I probably am not going through them as fast as some other people, and so that might prove to be a little more challenging for me. So I think there'll be a lot of variance there in just how the seeds play out. As well as I don't like doing D-money, so if that shows up, I'll do it, but not be terribly happy.
Well, I mean, it seems like with the high chance of finding sirens and with all the other maybe incidental grinds you'll find on the seed, especially because Gauntlet's semi-required since it's one of the objectives. I'm not sure how often we're going to see a D-running grind, but it's always one of those things nice to have in the back pocket to know how to do.
Yep, definitely. And Wiki has all the information on it, so anyone who is trying to pick that up, you can find it out and learn how to do that. Well put together guides by the community here. The community is just amazing for making all this type of information available. Even this seed itself kind of was tempting me to do the D-money is literally what I was thinking about as I was doing that hairdryer chest. I was okay, if I don't get anything good here, this isn't the best party to do the D-money on, but we have a mage. We have Punch Mage. He likes levels. Let's maybe this is a good thing. But then I saw the admin armor. I was like, no, okay, we don't need to do levels for our power. We got power through items. Let's just keep moving through the seed, which then worked out great as we continue to just get more power and then good characters. So.
No, absolutely. I think I've been taking up all the airtime here. Deathlight, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, no, just one particular question. Given how this seed started, you had the hook start, darkness as an antlion, was the hook? Magma key on top of ordeals. You had basically the seed was kind of open to you from the very beginning. It's just how did that make you feel? Just trying to route all of that.
Well, it's panic-inducing for sure. When you just see, I can go anywhere. What do I do? And then, especially again, you get a fair amount of power. I actually really can go anywhere. I can do any of this. What do I want to do? I was heading through ordeals, going, okay, let's go ahead and do this. We have the power to take on the hook route now. I won't even go ahead and check for Bool, even if it has the magma key. That's fine. I have to launch the Falcon anyway. I can get through the hook route right now. We won't worry about the off chance of it being in there, where normally I would go ahead and clear all of my overworld checks before committing to a hook route. But then, of course, you're just handed the magma key, and it's like, okay, let's probably go do this. We can do hook route later when we're even more powerful, get through just that much faster. There is a good amount of HP there. But then the entire time just sitting there, like, in the back of my mind, it's like, what if King and Queen was demist? What if demist is holding something good? I could be missing that. So yes, with the entire wide openness to the seed, it is just panic-inducing the whole time of, have I routed this in the wrong direction? And am I going down just rabbit holes that are putting me way behind? And especially as you start hitting some of those, doing fairly long checks and not getting rewarded for it, it starts causing you some concern there. So it's really, really important though, just stay calm, make sure that doesn't interfere your going through all your fights, not dropping anything there, and just continue to make as whatever you think are the highest kind of percent plays, which I again, a lot of my checks didn't work out, but I still am happy with how I was routing. I think I was making high percent plays, even if they weren't giving me the right stuff this time around.
I absolutely agree. Did a very good routing job. You did a very good execution job, and you were richly rewarded with the victory tonight. Congratulations. Anything else you'd like to add?
Just as always, a big thanks to everyone, just the entire Restream team here, as well as all the admin in the background who are running all this entire tournament for us. It's already been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the future weeks and playing some more. And I really appreciate all the work that goes into this. And thanks to everyone for watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed the race.
Thanks for racing.
GG's again, Klopper.
Thanks.
Meanwhile, we had Neon Gray that get through that DKC in Cave Value, and was rewarded with value indeed, the Legend Sword. So Neon is in go mode, having to go through the hook route, forge the sword, and is going to get the crystal, and they will be on their way to Z.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know where the last item is, but that was that's a French vanilla. I mean, DKC, when you fight DKC, you kind of do get the Legend Sword as a reward. It just wasn't the standard location that we normally expected it. So I call that French vanilla loosely, because that is what it was. And given that Yang that had a lot of HP to just tank all of that damage, I mean it makes sense to do it the way that was done.
Absolutely, and once again, I want to remind people that we had two races going on at the same time on the same seed. We had Clockford versus Render at the top, and Neon Gray and Scott at the bottom. So Neon Gray is well on the way to winning that race between themselves and Scott. Meanwhile, Scott is going through and clearing out the substring, as we see, trying to find the Twin Harp, trying to find that Legend Sword, and also trying to find that package. We know the package is in the tower with the tower key, and the Twin Harp is hiding out in Sealed Cave, so we'll need to do Dwarf Castle.
So Renderer is going for the alt gauntlet. I think this is the last of the sequence, or at least close to it. The key is like the double clapper, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, the clapper. It's a fun joke when we say, "Would you like a clapper grind?" This isn't. Clapper is kind of one of the tougher fights to have as a whole. Like if you thought King Ryu grinds, King with when you have a siren on the moon in say Cave Value, I mean that is tamer. This is sometimes I feel the clapper is just. It's unnecessarily annoying. It's just super tanky for all it's worth. Even with the weakness of projectiles and arrows, it's just a pain in the ass pain in the rear to deal with. It's just not worth dealing with. But Neon is turning in the forge, which once it's pretty much go mode at this point, so that's good and maybe we'll see something in the shop worth looking at.
Crystal ring is certainly nothing to sneeze at. I'm gonna get a couple of those.
I mean, you've hoarded so much money in this seed that yeah, why not? And that's an interesting purchase. More darts. It's an expensive dart because I still think Drain Spears are probably better cost value, but all you care about is you're just dumping money at this point, so who cares?
It's a question of time versus money at this point. It'll take time to go back down to Cave Eblan and get those Drain Spears. Might as well just grab those darts that are available where you are right now.
I mean, they have an attack power of 109, so it's kind of fairly in the middle. It's not quite Excal, but considering that it's probably one of the stronger darts available that you can buy outright, it's not unreasonable. It's that claw that doesn't increase your agility. How about that?
And that object to number 6 on the board, that is Neon Gray's Crystal. Neon Gray has the pass, so won't have to go back up to the moon. I think we're going to be seeing another Z fight in our very near future.
Yeah, I mean, pass makes a lot of things more palatable. You don't have to do LST trek a second time just for Z. So any runners who've gone the top of tower is the beneficiary of that. And I can't. It's hard to pass on the pass, as it were.
Absolutely. Again, after going through so much practice and preparation on the potion party flag set, where we didn't have to worry about Z, we didn't have the pass. To go back into the mindset of a more, shall we say, traditional flag set, where you do have to end up with the Z fight at the end. You're looking for that pass, and you're very happy to find it.
Yeah, you know that they said the first in terms of like when you get off a plane or go kind of walk up or walk down, it's like the first step is dangerous or can be. So trying to drive the airship, sometimes not to land on that particular spot that would happens to the best of us, where sometimes our driving is not perfect. So
I cannot count the number of times that I've landed inside the crater on the underground. It's become almost a running gag for me.
Hey, just as they say, just use a tent or cabin and pretend it was intentional. No one will notice that, and I agree with that. No one's gonna know any better. Just like public speaking, you don't know what the person's gonna say. Just that's all that matters. So it was intentional. At least we hope it is.
And as Neon heads up to the moon to fight their Z fight, just want to throw out another great thank you for the people working behind the scenes who did a great job in getting the races to you and keeping us on track with all the tracking and all the items they're collecting. We had Hush Pyramid doing the restreaming. We had Ryudo and Step Lively doing a great job of the tracking. We want to thank them all and thank the entire community for helping put this tournament on.
Yeah, without the tracking, without everyone else behind the scenes, it wouldn't be the kind of stream that you want it to be. Especially as I do need that information from the tracker just to keep on track myself. I can't. There's so much information on the screen that things can be lost pretty quickly. And don't forget to join Discord. That's where all the real shenanigans begin. Talk with runners, talk with friendly people who are willing to help you understand the randomizer, the process, flags, and there's also a wiki. So also check that out while you're there, because there's a lot of information on it too.
We see now Renderer is finally getting to Perry, and they're going to be very happy to find their pan there. Unfortunately, a little too late. This is unfortunately not the right time to fade this location, but as is the case with randomizers, you never know what the right place to fade is until you go back there.
That was a tame nuke. Due to the power of the adamant armor, mostly it's not in the magic defense. It's the collective magic evasion gained. Adamant armor provides a lot of magic evasion, but increases wisdom and will and agility, which contribute to all the magic evasion multipliers, which makes kind of a possible 2400 maximum damage nuke become a tame 400, as it were.
And we had that first Big Bang, which was nuked or nerfed, of course, so everyone's still rather healthy. We don't have a pure white mage here, as you see. We only have Fusoya, which is going to be able to do it in a pinch, and we'll see if the damage output that is being done by our Berserkers and Cecil and Edge and Yang is going to be able to keep it up. As you can see, we're only getting about 5,000, 6,000 damage done per cycle. that's going to make things a little interesting as the few big bangs start to pile up.
So yeah, Neon Gray did not pick up the X-Cal in the ribbon room. I mean, it's kind of unlikely, of course, because that wasn't a spot that was required. So compared to Klopfer, so it's kind of understandable the kind of weapon firepower. I think Edge is also not back row glitched. Has probably a pair of Masamune, but is suffering from not being back row glitched. So is doing half as much damage. So as the party is currently constructed, has Yang that is dependent on being the front row, having no direct way of back row glitching. Edge is in the back row, so it's kind of the damage is kind of uneven because of that. It might be okay, but it's not exactly the desired outcome. In addition to Cecil not having a good weapon to swing at.
Right. Well, I'll have to see how many Bacchus wines are in Neon's inventory, because I think they're going to see at least one instance where their Berserk's going to be fallen off. We just did have a shake there. We're going to see if maybe that was a shake for the second phase, or the fight here. I think the way things are going, they'll still be okay, but there is a chance that things could go poorly.
Yeah, I think the damage has been mostly consistent outside of a bad Fu wipe, like the Big Bang doing near maximum damage. Unlikely, but still possible. I think Yang is really doing all the damage. I mean, with all the levels compared to like the rest of our runners, Yang is really the obvious beneficiary. And I said before, levels is his thing, and you can't. And it's really paying off. For a moment there, I thought Yang had the Charm Claw equipped, but no, it's the Dragon Claw. Because if the Charm Claw was equipped, it would cripple his accuracy. For when you have a character having two weapons like Edge and Yang, it's just the average. His accuracy is the average of the two weapons that they have equipped. So if there was a Charm Claw in the possession, it would have been best to remove it. But Rock's phase means that we're nearing the end of the fight.
Right. It looks like we got a black hole just off there, but after you see that the media coming out, we're in phase 3. We've got somewhere in the range of 11,000 hit points left to go. We can probably power through this, even if it's not ideal in terms of having your berserks up and all that. We should have enough power to get through, and we do indeed. We see that crack, and we see that fade away. We have Neon Gray winning the one-on-one fight here against Scott. Their time 1 hour 49 minutes 59 seconds.
Pretty good run. Seed. Obviously not the fastest throw, but still contributing to the team. So this Seed is played by 4 people. And that just means lots of variation can happen in between. And Neon Gray has shown up.
Hello.
GG.
Thank you. And yeah, go Team Gaia Hat.
Well, that's one win in the bank for them. Congratulations. How do you think that Seed went for you overall?
You know what? I was a little worried when Baron turned up bust, except for the Fu. But, getting an Adamant Edge that early will forgive a lot of sins.
Absolutely. It's nice to have those Adamant armors back in the Seed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, I like my higher power things, so having that particular tool back in the kit is really great for me. I like it a lot.
Now, one thing I want to ask about is your decision to fade Antlion for quite some time, because you were as you might imagine, the last person to get the Darkest Crystal amongst the people who were being restreamed here. How did you have any thoughts about your decision to fade Antlion, and once you did find the Darkest Crystal, how are you feeling?
I actually felt really good about that when I got that darkness. Just because I'd done pretty well on cleaning up objectives that far. So I went pretty late on that. but it kept me away from the moon, which, I don't know which altar that Golbez was at, but I don't need to know.
No, absolutely. It obviously worked out for you well, and it did potentially help you avoid going down maybe some of the other rabbit holes that the moon may have provided.
Yeah, don't think there was really anything too bad it could have done to me. I'm just seeing Luca, Rat, and Spoon left, and a Sand Ruby. So I don't think it could have pulled me too far off the trail. But when you're building yourself up to take care of those bosses, that's it changes your focus a little bit as you play, rather than covering ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So after having played 3 matches of Potion Party, having to come to now this new flag set of Moonveil Mixer, how do you like it compared to the other one?
I really struggled with Potion Party, and I'm generally not a fan of win game in Seeds, just because one of the things that I like to do is, consider my party building for the Zerobus fight, which is honestly probably my favorite part of the game. So you kind of snip that out, and I struggle a bit, even if there were other things in it that kind of played to my advantage. Like for this, I really struggled on the treasure I got. Like that Cecil at the end was still using an ogre axe, and that was one sword on the edge. But so I like my boxes a little better, but I like having boxes back too, rather than the pure cash, the last one.
Yes, absolutely. It was fun to play sort of a very different flag set than what we're normally used to. This one feels a lot more like how other tournaments have gone, which is which is nice, because you sort of get to use the strategies you developed over however long you play the game.
Yeah, I like the objective split though on the on this one, just because it is a little bit it is a little bit different, because we've got 6 of 7, so you've got some leeway, and you've got the couple of boss hunts in there. Whereas a lot of times, we've had everything focused on objectives, or we've had everything focused on bosses. The mix and the one that you get to toss aside, I think, is a good combination. I think, especially for me, because, I will do things like, sometimes I will just go, you know what, I don't need to go to Antlion right now. It's there, I'll have exit at some point, I'll just go later. And sometimes that works out.
Absolutely. Deathlike, would you like to have anything else to add?
I didn't really have a question come to mind, but I guess was there anything in the seed that was interesting? Because there were, I mean, obviously, knowing that darkness came in late for you because you faded, and we had the hook on the as a starting key item, and magma was on Mount Ordeals. I mean, they're just the whole seed was open for you from the start, like even for your opponent.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that, again, that's something that plays a little better to me, because I know a lot of people, they're not sure what they need to do if they get a seed that's really open really early. Whereas I feel like I have a really good gauge for what my party is capable of taking. And at that point, going the that particular loop that I did, where I just beelined the hook route, and I came out of there with like 6 drain spears. With an edge start, that just cleans out the harder early overworld, and so I was able to just sweep through that. I was really happy with my time as I was cashing in my pan checks, and then I get the pink tail out of that, and it's just like mwah.
I mean, yeah, who could say no to icing on that cake? And you spent the rest of your money on white spears. I mean, that's just, it's like.
And I forgot to use them. I think that's traditional, really. I mean, what you make one of those last minute spins, and then you're just like, oh. I was actually really happy too. How I managed to. I get distracted by shops a lot, but I did a thing which I did 2 things which would take longer than just buying the items from a shop, but I think took less time than looking for the items and buying them from a shop, which was I popped the 1 siren that I had found earlier in Magnus, and I got my wines there, and then as I was sweeping through Babil, because if you're hard up for weapons, I really like the Babil trap chests, and I very much was, and I got 6 sirens out of there. I was going to get 8, but turns out I didn't need them anyway.
It's one of those nice things that Edge adds to your Cs. You building the flexibility in order to find some of those really nice J items.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't go to the dwarf item shop. I didn't go to Tower at all. I didn't check Hobigways. Any of those items that I was looking for could have been there, but I had guaranteed sources right in front of me. So, eat the time of maybe getting them immediately. And that worked out.
It certainly did, and you were richly rewarded with a victory over Scott, so congratulations. Any last things to add?
Well, I want to apologize to the rest of the Unforced Errors for ruining our losing streak. I'm sorry, I will try to do better next time, or I will try to do worse.
It's always important to note there's room for improvement.
Yes.
Now, thank you very much for providing an entertaining race tonight, and good luck with you and your team's future races, unless you're racing against us.
And same to both of you. And looks like my opponent is going up through Sephiroth right now. So I will. I'll step away now so that you're all ready for when he's all the way through.
Thank you. GG's once again.
Thank you.
GG's again, Neon.
Yes, absolutely right. Scott is going through Sephiroth, and Renderer is looking for either Legend Sword or Golbez. We know they're both on the moon, and we know that the Legend Sword is in this cave Bahamut. So if Renderer can get through this relatively nasty DKC spot, he will also be in go mode. In the meantime, as Scott finishes up the Sephiroth fight, I want to point out that tomorrow we are still racing the Elixir League. We've got 3 restreams coming to you. We've got at 2 o'clock Eastern at Free Enterprise, 4 o'clock Eastern, Free Enterprise 2, and at night, 9 o'clock Eastern, once again on Free Enterprise. Another great day of races for you.
Yep, there's plenty more where that came from, as they say. I think Professor Renner might fade this the DKC fight. I mean, we know where Golbez is, so it depends. I mean, considering the party construction, it's kind of hard to wanting to do that fight as currently constituted. I'm not sure what the level of how much HP Yang has for Renderer, but it's kind of an undesirable situation. I mean, I saw Iridia in the party, so and with the Yang not at a high enough HP, but it might be kind of problematic and maybe just worth fading outright.
Well, it looks like he's going to try to do a little bit of manipulate, trying to get the items out here. If the timing works out, it might work out. There's one down. Looks like there will have to be some more cures on Ying to get the second one out. It's going to be a question of whether it can happen. No, it's not going to work for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, it needs to stuff. You just stuff the Yang with all the cures for anyone's freeze turn. Just use a cure to a potion if you really want to try to kind of get at that fight. You just can't. You can't waste a turn doing nothing, especially that fight. It's just you want to heal one person to hope that person survives, and that's just the goal. So although I'm wondering if Renderer is figuring out the agility or just trying to figure out turn order. Scott unfortunately had a reset because Z fights are what they are, but I think I've seen the Z fight kind of go off the rails a little bit. It's on bit probably too quick. I'm not sure if there's a Silk Web in the inventory, but that would definitely make life significantly easier when you have access to a Silk Web.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the Sea Hero flags, where you sometimes can't get the perfect agility manipulation if you really want for the Z fight. It does look like Renderer dropped the battle speed down to 6, the lowest it can go, so that he can get as many turns out as possible, thanks to the way that the active time battle works here. And it looks like, can he get one more cure off onto Yang?
Should be some reasonable safety, lowering the battle speed. Typically, I think if you could lower it down to 3 is probably good enough. The battle speed 1 is incredibly hectic. It just goes zoom on you pretty quickly. So lowering the battle speed is certainly a smart decision, regardless of how difficult this fight is. Sometimes it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
Looks like lowering the battle speed did do the trick. And for any racers out there who are still learning the ropes, that's usually a very good idea, because you will lose a lot of ticks by sticking with battle speed 1. So if you're having a problem with a fight, try lowering the battle speed first, because that'll usually give you more turns on the enemy than you would normally get on battle speed 1.
Well, if anything, Free Enterprise defaults the battle speed to 1. Vanilla Final Fantasy IV, whatever incarnation, has its default battle speed of 3. So, just to put into context, how dramatic the game changes between 3 and 1. So, and there's no shame to be running at Wyvern standard time, because there are some difficult bosses where you do want to just turn down the speed. Although sometimes you may want to remember to turn it back up just after the fight. But it is what it is.
Absolutely. I know there are some racers in our community who will start it at 2 and just keep it at 2 for the entire seed, just because it gives them a few extra turns without really slowing them down appreciably. And that's absolutely a valid strategy. And now that Renderer has completed that fight, has that Legend Sword, is going to be able to forge and get into go mode himself.
Yeah, sometimes when you have the fight, you have to kind of adjust to what needs to be done for success. And in that case, just even that minor adjustment is good enough for Yang to stick around, and that's great. You don't want to be punished so badly by Pain Man. I think every runner's had that moment with Pain Man, where that the desire to take that much damage, and sometimes you want to just avoid all of it, and you don't have an army of Edwards for that yet.
No, unfortunately, sometimes you have to find other ways around it. But we do have Renderer here, getting the Coco, getting that forge, going to get that crystal. and it looks like Scott's second attempt here at Sephiroth is going a lot better than the first.
You know, I know there's multiple incarnations of Sephiroth. I mean, they're just because it's kind of like Golbez. Have you seen the variations of Golbez? They're just as enlightening for especially with the team, the group that bears that name, the law firm of Golbez is effectively, and I'm sure they have really good parties too.
I'm sure they're a laugh riot.
So I think it's kind of unfortunate in the fight with Scott. The Sid, while having the HP to survive the big bangs, he's not gonna get the kind of turns that like even a Kane would get, or even the Fu in the party would get, because Sid doesn't gain enough agility to kind of do anything to kind of be practically useful. It's not like and obviously you know you're gonna use Sid in the coveted potion thrower role, but with Yang being, you know, reasonably fast, at least for a berserker, it's kind of highlighting Sid's utility. But we're seeing rocks, so it is near the end for Scott, and that is good.
And as you see, everyone but Kane dodged those rocks, so he's going to have no problem getting this last little bit of HP off Sephiroth and getting the final touch put on the seed for Scott.
I think Renderer getting set up with all the crystal rings, although I'm not sure if you want to really put a crystal ring on Yang. There isn't, but there's usually not much to gain from it. But there Sephiroth goes for Scott's screen. So, and I think it was a director reflected. It doesn't matter. That's a win, and a good win that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last bit of damage being put on doesn't matter where it comes from. And we are joined now by Scott. GG, Scott.
Hey, everybody. GG's.
So, how do you think that seed was overall?
It seems to be my MO that whenever I fade Dwarf Castle, I get punished for it very hard.
That's unfortunately the way it goes sometimes. I swear, sometimes it's just wherever you fade, that's where it was.
Yeah. I think this is two times in a row that Dwarf Castle's bitten me in the butt pretty bad.
Speaking of fading, you opted to fade Ordeals until pretty late, and you saw that it had the magma key, but unfortunately it was after the time you'd gone down the hook route. Well, on the other hand, you need to go down the hook route anyway, so it's not like really...
Hook was an objective, and I never really felt like I was struggling at all during the seed. Like there was like one unlucky hit on my hourglass thrower for hair dryers, and that was like the only real time I felt like I actually had to reset because of bad RNG or anything like that. Like everything else was pretty smooth. It was just a matter of trying to find what I needed to find, and sometimes you just have to full clear seed. I think all that was left at the time I was done was what pass was probably at the top of tower, and I think it was tower key that led to package, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, sometimes that's just how the seed works out. It just takes you all around the world.
Yeah, and I kept thinking that I was going for density and that the moon was going to be a great play. The moon was a terrible play this time around. Got Golbez, and I should have just completely faded that the rest of the seed.
I mean, on the flip side, there were some pretty nice easy bosses up there, though, and gave you a ton of experience. So it's not like you need to do any more grinding after clearing out the moon.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that I thought was very interesting about your routing is that you chose to do Fey March right when you got down there. You did the Gauntlet, which was obviously required this flag set. I think everyone else doubled the Fey March because they didn't feel comfortable doing it, but you got through it, and it seemed like you had a pretty easy time with it.
So At that point, I think I already had 1 or 2 adamants. And it was just one of those things where when I first went down there, it was, I'm going to just see if this is water hag or not. And when I saw it was gauntlet, I'm like, yeah, this is probably doable with this group. And then after that, I was like, well, it's a lunar boss on king. If it's anything other than pale dim, I reset and just say forget about it. But it was pale dim, and it's like, okay, well, blink strats and zerk it, and you're fine. So it just worked out that way. Like I said, I never really felt like I was under the gun for any of this steed. It was just bad luck trying to find the key items.
Well, unfortunately, that is it's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
This is the first week of this particular flag set after playing 4 weeks of Potion Party. How do you?
I vastly prefer this flag set to Potion Party. Nothing feels worse than budget supermarket sweep to me. So I like not having to check all the shops. I like being able to loot until you feel comfortable and then just go for it.
You do think this flag set more plays to your strengths?
Definitely. This feels a lot more like my only background, the reason why I'm in this tournament is because my partner, I was part of the Troyan Tango Club, and my partner is Ikir, and Ikir is pretty darn well known in this community, and we put up some great times, but Troyan Tango is a very niche flag set, and this plays a lot like Troyan Tango, which is very much in my comfort zone. The other flag set was not having items in chests was just horrible.
It was definitely a change of how you thought. Yeah,
compared to what I'm used to.
Yes.
It was still fun. It was just very jarring, and I don't know if you saw, the only other race I had been restreamed was just the most nightmarish possible combination. It was literally one item from Go mode at the very start of the seed. It was like 4 objectives on darkness, and then find magma key in Go mode. Wow. So I'm having some rotten luck with these restream races, but maybe next time it'll be better.
Absolutely, gotta keep trying.
Yeah, I do.
Definitely.
Shout outs to Neon Gray for putting up an awesome time too. 149 and 130 for club that's really good.
Everyone here has been playing very well. I think everyone's done some great stuff with this particular seed tonight, you included. So thanks for playing, and thanks for being restreamed.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Deathlike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thanks to the whole team for putting this together, to the trackers and the restreamers, and of course to yourselves, the commentators, for putting this together. It's a whole lot of fun being able to participate in this tournament and to kind of get to cheer on my friends on my team. So really, really enjoying it.
Wait, I just had one question for you, Scott.
Yeah.
So I was curious. You were the only one who kind of kept the Sid from the start. I think you picked him up at was it Mount Hobbs, and kind of kept him for the entire seed. So what was the thinking behind that?
Dean was on Mount Hobbs. Sid was somewhere later.
Oh wait, he was the Cave Eblan character. That's right.
Yeah. So the only character that I was kind of thinking I would replace Sid with at that point, because I had decent gear for Sid and I had rune axe for Sid, right? Like as I got him, and he scales pretty well, and I was kind of afraid of a Dark Knight Cecil in a bad spot, which, hey, there was one, so I was figuring I would use him as a second hit point tank if Yang didn't work out. And so I kept him around, and by the time I saw Cecil, I had just gotten done selling basically all the gear that he would have used, and I never did see a Crystal Sword. I saw one Excalibur that I would have much rather thrown with Edge. So I just didn't see anybody that really kind of made me want to replace him at the time. He was doing fine. And You know, the only real upgrade that I saw was when Usoya came walking out at Baron Castle. I was like, well, guess Tella's out, and that was that was the end of me worrying about my party.
Totally get that. I mean, when you don't have the items at the time you find the character, it's like, what are they good for? Do I need this at this point?
Yeah. And I was also a ways away from 10 key items at the time too, so it was just like, even though I did eventually get there, it was just one of those things where I didn't want to. I just kind of didn't want to replace something that was already working. I was hoping that I was going to get a hold of Bacchus at some point. I saw when I was kind of peeking at the restream after I finished that they were in Hummingway. I really should have checked that. Kicking myself for not doing that earlier. So I was up on the moon so early, but what can you do?
Maybe would have been the thought to pick up Porum at Dwarf instead, because you probably, I think you didn't have Fu at that point, probably. Just
I didn't have Fu at that point, but I wouldn't have replaced Sid because I wouldn't have wanted to grind. I had killed so many bosses at that point that I just kind of felt like what I had was good enough. You know what I mean? I didn't really feel like, if I felt like I was behind or struggling with a boss or something like that, felt like I was underpowered for my party, I probably would have thought to replace Sid, but at that point I just felt like I was cruising. And, you know, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right?
Yep. Fair enough. It's you know, there's just plenty characters aplenty in this seed, so it was just compared to the last flex list. So I mean, everyone is an option until they're not.
It's true. Well, again, thanks for having me. I don't know if you want to get Professor Render in here, but I really appreciate it, and thanks for hosting such a nice restream and such a great tournament.
Thanks for playing, and it was great to talk to you again, and good luck in the future.
All right, cheers. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.
Easy again, Scott.
And we are joined here by Professor Render, who unfortunately took a unfortunate wipe, and Z, and has decided to join us here. And GG's, well-run seed, and just want to get your opinion on how you think it went.
It could have gone better. I mean, there was some like decent stuff with that, but I feel, and I know exactly what happened with that Z fight. I shouldn't have Zert's Yang up, because I could have just used that opportunity to just get my party back up, and even then it would still kind of precarious. But at that point, I was just like, okay, I just want to see the Z fight. I was going to give it one shot, and if that if that doesn't work out, whatever, I'm just gonna call it. Honestly, I could have found the pan much earlier, but I chose to say no on it because King Queen Eblan was like, okay, that's just King Queen Eblan. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I was like, I kind of wish this was in a better position for a free boss, and I didn't want to pull up an Eddie because I was gonna hold out for a spoon. And that obviously never show up, so I'm just like, nah, no, whatever. I did pick Radia just because I did have those important summons available to me, so I figured that's like, okay, I can get her levels on the Fabul Gauntlet, which I know where it is. That's not a big deal. I'll work with it. And that did work in some sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been actually the counter, because I wasn't quite sure about this if Z countered a summon, which is the case. But yeah, needless to say, I probably need a bit more improvements on this flag set. I didn't have a whole lot of time because I was busy with I had semester stuff. My semester's ending now and finals are coming up, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to get ready.
No worries about that. You'll have 3 more weeks of this flag set to get more familiar with it, so plenty of time. How does it compare to the last flag set that we were playing with?
It's back to it's compared to the past flag set. It's back to what we know. Obviously, with K main Sun and Moon. Although the thing about with it being max tier 5 for looting, it basically means that you have to take a shot at a trap to find something high, like from 6 to 8. And I was holding out to find, since I saw Cecil, went for Zod and I saw Cecil. I wanted to try and get a crystal sword, and that never showed up. And I'm like, what? Okay. I guess I'm going with the Masa Edge. Full Moon Masa Edge. And yeah, it just never showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very interesting because normally, I swear, especially in seeds where you don't have Cecil, you're just tripping over holy swords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's either you get Cecil and you find no holy swords, or you have a bunch of holy swords and you don't have Cecil. There's like no in between. It feels like there's hardly any in between, which is unfortunate. Because I kind of wish it's unfortunate because I would if I had a crystal sword available to me, or like an X Cow or whatever, that fight would have gone a lot better. Personally, I didn't have time to go for a continued egg grind after I saw the other race conclude. So I decided, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. I already have I did the one. I'm just gonna get out. I could have spent more time just get for an insurance policy, but whatever.
Yeah, totally understandable. I mean, I think the only holy sword source that we did see on Restream was at the Ribbon Room. So that was and not likely something that you would have stumbled onto because you weren't probably would have been looking for Golbez at that point. So yeah, wouldn't be worried about that.
Oh no, yeah, because I was never gonna get that. I was effectively looking for either Forge or Golbez. I got the pan was so late. I was just like, okay, I gotta get this out, then just go for the moon after I'm all done with any like random checks I had, I believe. Yeah. Again, and just I already said what I needed to say. So, yeah, I can take more questions.
Were there anything else in the seed that that was kind of interesting to you? I mean, obviously you faded Edward, who had the pen essentially, which is understandable because that like from the surface, like, why do I really want to pick up an Edward, especially if I don't have the spoon?
Yeah, and again, and to reiterate too, the other reason was because of King Queen Eblan. I didn't want, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to do a King Queen Eblan immediately if I find an Eddie, because it's like I could have wanted a King Queen Eblan elsewhere compared to like somewhere else, rather than on Baron Guards, because Baron Guards are just have low HP anyway, so it wouldn't make sense to just wouldn't make sense to go for it anyway, even if it was Vanilla Yang. Some of notes, I feel like Sid was a decent call in my eyes, but that I can't really think of anything noteworthy other than like I had a Cecil, and then I had Full Moon Masa, and I kind of wish I had God Hand for Yang.
Would you have preferred the Porum in Dwarf? Because that would Cecil and Palom was the top of Zod. I mean, there you had plenty of characters to choose from, and it's interesting. Certainly an interesting decision to choose Rydia, especially though that late. It was kind of it's an interesting decision. I understand that you said yeah, you had the alt gauntlet, but did you think that you needed to do additional grinding on top of that? Because
so you kind of saw me like pause on, I believe, the Porum. I believe because the Porum, I was like, okay, do I want to get this? And I'm just grinding it into my mind. I was originally gonna keep the Tella for ID machine grind, but I eventually chose not to. But it was still on the table in my eyes, so I just said, I'm gonna keep this for now, just in case I do a D machine grind. Because I didn't want to do a D machine grind without Cecil, because I would rather have a Cecil with a D machine grind as to, even though sure Edge was in the party, I could have done it all the day long. I could have just left Cecil out. But hindsight's 2020. Palom, on the other hand, for the same reason. I was still gonna hold out on just having Tella around. By the time I still had Tella, I was looking at Fusoya. Fusoya was pretty much now now I get rid of this Tella because there was never an opportunity for me to D machine grind. There was never an opportunity. If I got a Crystal Sword, I would have gotten D machine grind, but there wasn't any. So Fusoya was one thing I was gonna do to counteract that. I knew there was Soma drops in Fey March. I didn't have time to get Soma drops in Fey March. I just wanted to get go. That was it.
Sure. Would have this decision been different? It had a Rosa appeared instead of Porum. Just for curiosity.
Yes, but I still would have kept Tella, and then in that case I would have to choose a different character. As for what character, I don't know.
Fair enough. Twisted, I assume he has questions. I'm kind of done for now.
Oh no, just really remarkable how just everyone plays game differently. How just the different characters you get at different times can really just make a big effect on your strategy as you play the seed.
Yeah, and that's what makes FE so fun. Just like everyone has a strategy. You have these unorthodox plays that are kind of interesting to see, because everyone will play the seed very differently. With it being an RPG rando, there's a lot of creativity involved with kind of building your party and how you react to the new items.
Absolutely. So, thanks once again for coming out and being restreamed, and good luck in your future races.
Yep. Yeah. So stay tuned for for more of the comedy club. We're trying. But thanks to the commentators, trackers, the restreamer. Thanks for putting on this twin cast. It's actually the first time I've ever done a twin cast. It actually was pretty interesting to see it to get my race picked up for that. But yeah, I'm gonna get out, play some just Event, because that game's a lot of fun. All right, take it easy.
Cool. GG. And thanks to all of you for watching us tonight. It was I think a great race, and I had a lot of fun. I don't know about you, Deathlike.
Plenty of fun. There's so much on the screen that it's hard to get your eyes off of any of it. Let's be real. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and if you want more fun, like I said earlier, be sure to tune in again tomorrow for we got 2 p.m. Eastern Twincast on Free Enterprise. It's going to be Fiery Blizzard versus Legacy Starscream and Windfox versus Soko Sonex. 4 p.m. Eastern, we got another Twincast over here on Free Enterprise 2. It'll be Cryall versus Blues Eclipse and Tallgrand versus Scratch Dragon. And then we're going to finish it all off 9 o'clock tonight, 9 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern time again, with Softnum versus Amarith. Should all be great races. Please tune in and watch. We're going to be sending you over to Apex Corvid. Just give them all our love. And once again, I want to thank everyone working behind the scenes. We had Hush Pyramid on the restream, Ryudo and Step Lively doing the tracking, doing a great job there. And of course, the person who's had to deal with me for the last couple hours, dattering in his ear, Deathlike.
It's fine. I think some would argue. I mean, some of ours a little bit too much too. It's fine. It's shared blame, shared pain, shared everything. But just a reminder to everyone before we move you, do not spoil. The arcane newspapers will be flying all over the place from places where you didn't know it ever existed. So, don't spoil the race. Let people get the time to rewatch the race, and hope to see you all soon.
Absolutely. Have a good one.